Horizon's Gate is an RPG where you explore, trade, and privateer. Oh yes, there's naval warfare, and it's turn-based combat that's exceptionally well done. The same goes for land combat too. Horizon's Gate is reasonably open-ended with only a few suggestions on what you should be doing. It's all up to you to determine what your goals are, be it live in the world on your own and become famous, or seek out what's behind the mysterious door and find your betrayer. So let's take a look at Horizon's Gate. Perhaps the most crucial aspect of enjoying Horizon's Gate is the story, which is a little strange to say since it's such an open-ended game. However, the story drives you to keep playing. There are some plot points revealed at the start that compels me. I need to get to the bottom of it. Your character is stabbed in the back by their country, and instead of having a crazy, excellent crew, you're all the way back to square one. You must build up a fleet of boats along with a team to take your revenge and figure out the mystery. Although, you can take a long and winding road to get there. There's no pressure to only proceed with the plot, so you can take your time learning the ropes. While there's no pressure to take part in the story, I can't imagine not finishing it. It's not like Morrowind where the side quests are the fun part, but more of a slow build-up in your power until you can complete the game. And so you start with a simple boat, and your first task is to get a new one and pick up some crew to sail it. The sailing is 100% why I wanted to play Horizon's Gate. The way the horizon comes into view as if it's rolling on a cylinder is fantastic. It's like you're sailing around a real globe. And it also reminds me of Pirate's Gold on Sega Genesis, which is my favorite sailing game. This sailing lives up to that, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. The combat, though, is turn-based, which isn't similar, but the feeling is the same. You're still trying to line up your equipped cannon type so you can shoot the enemy ships. You might only be able to shoot in a small cone from the side of your boat, which is going to be challenging to line up. It's a game of distance and angles. I wish there was a diagram when purchasing cannons because the shots can differ, and it completely changes the engagement. This is the open sea though, and the edges of the battlefield are easy to reach for escape. The enemies are smart enough to sacrifice one ship to save two, which is fantastic. I foolishly thought I was going to have an easy fight, and that is not the case. You should consider that these battles are serious business, and any ship sunk is permanently lost. Even if you win the battle, you can lose ships forever. It's a tight line to take, but it raises the stakes of the ship battles for the better. Moving on to the land combat quickly. It works exactly the same as ship combat, but without any of the risk. If any of your crew does get knocked out, they revive at the end of the battle with less maximum health. You'll have to wait a day for some to be restored, so you can't get knocked out all the time. Turn-based combat is a massive part of Horizon's Gate. It's simple but clear what's going on in the battle. However, the game isn't going to change your mind if you don't already enjoy that type of gameplay. Because it's more simplistic, it does move faster than other combat I've played, which I like. There are fewer decisions to choose between. You need to move, take one action, then select which direction to end your turn facing. Where Horizon's Gate gets more interesting are the character classes and included skill trees. After the base sailor class, the tree splits off into 3 directions: warrior, scout, and magic. Then after that, it's an absolute bonanza of classes to choose from. One of the classes is called Bat Handler. How is that a real class? And what skills does it have? I need to know. This isn't a linear class system either. For example, the Blade class requires you to unlock the Guardian and Rogue classes first. But while the Guardian class is in a direct line to the Blade class, the Rogue class is from the Scout tree. It's this intense class system that should make you want to play Horizon's Gate. You should keep in mind that the classes aren't handed to you, but are learned from trainers around the world. So you'll need to scour the globe to find them. A slight criticism of the system is that it can be a little confusing at first. For the active skills, you need to equip a class to use them, but you can have 2 equipped at a time. And then the passive skills will keep working no matter what, so you will need to be careful about where to spend your points between active skills, passive skills, and skill points. This is an extensive system, and learning it and planning is required. It can be a lot if you're not ready to manage or learn it. For gamers who want to learn such a deep system, it's going to be amazing. Anyway, what about the rest of the game? Didn't I mention exploring, trading, and privateering? Yes, of course, that's all here whenever you want it. I found it easy to fall into a game loop of exploring different ports and collecting goods for trading. It's a simple market where the special item a port has will sell better the further it is away from that port. So pick up goods from one place and deliver them to another. It couldn't get any simpler. The special items replenish at different rates per port as well. If you don't want to go at all the merchant trading alone, you can pick up guild jobs, which have you ferrying items and letters around the world. And this is where the real money is at the start. It can feel a little like chores if this is all you do though. Even destroying a monster den can become repetitive when you realize every town is going to ask you to do it. It's not a big deal, but there seems to be limited jobs available. Then you have to worry about feeding your crew and keeping their morale high. This also reminds me of Pirate's Gold. You'll be stopping to pick up food a lot, which can be a burden. There are 2 fascinating ways to make money in Horizon's Gate passively. By exploring and revealing more of the map, you can sell the information to a cartographer. A little strange to think such an advanced world doesn't have a map, but maybe they're making a new one. The second requires you to use the look tool on enemies, objects, and really just about everything else in this world. It gives you some notes about the thing you used it on, and then you sell that. What's strange is that you need to pledge yourself to one of these buyers. That's 1 cartographer and 1 broker, which could be in different ports, and if you want to sell to somebody else, you have to cancel your contracts. It could be a hassle once you start taking longer journeys. It could be a long time to get back to where you eventually pledged yourself, although you're not really meant to be continually handing this in. Now, Horizon's Gate is exceptionally polished, and I'm impressed. There's a notes section for you to keep track of everything, which I recommend highly. Maybe just keep a pad and paper next to you when you play. The map shows a ton of information with each city's special item, along with what vendors are there. It even highlights the cartographer and broker you're pledged to. This is handy information the developer could have easily chosen to hide. There's also a lot of saving, which does enable save scumming if you're into that. No judgment. It makes my job a lot easier for this review. Also, I think it gets a bad reputation anyway. If there was one thing I was going to complain about, it's the interface. First, the size is a little small on my screen. I don't know if there's some scaling that can be done, but it would be wonderful if I could just adjust the size myself. The little plus and minus icons on the map are really of no help. The preset sizes do not work, and it would be fantastic if I could resize by pulling the corner. It's a little retro in the wrong way. I also wish it worked like Google Maps, where I could zoom in with my mouse wheel. It'd be amazing. Second, as much as I praised the map for having information, the interface is hiding some. For example, the biggest offender is the food bar. While the morale is at least a smiling face for high morale, which I think most people will understand, the food bar is difficult to translate to real terms. I'm one of those people that wants the battery percentage visible at all times. I need to know exactly how much battery I have, and that little battery meter isn't cutting it. So the food bar isn't enough, and I'm continually hovering over it trying to see if I need to stop in port. Maybe the developer can add an option to switch it to text. I would be extremely grateful. Overall, Horizons Gate is undoubtedly enjoyable, and I'm a massive sucker for open water warfare games. While this isn't precisely a pirate game, you can do enough sailing combat that it kind of feels like one. If you can dive into the extensive system of classes, then I recommend Horizons Gate to you. It's a well-polished game with a story that lets you get there eventually. The developer obviously put a ton of love into this project, and it shows. Thank you. Horizons Gate was cool, but what should I play next? Thank you very much for watching. Hit subscribe.